It's Monday, the 30th of March, and we hear the news today that Dominic Cummings too has come down with the coronavirus symptoms. So it is there deep at the heart of government, and nobody with the death toll rising is underestimating that we're in a serious situation. But what has emerged over the weekend is a real dilemma, I think, and it's going to become a huge issue for the authorities. What is the lockdown for? What is the point of the restrictions that are being put on people? Is it to stop the spread of coronavirus, or is it to put us under house arrest? So I don't think by going out twice a day I'm being irresponsible in any way at all. And yet some of the reaction I got on social media, I mean, you'd have thought I was a suicide bomber. I mean, people apparently are prepared to go along with some of the very strict and, can I say, ridiculous, lacking in common sense interpretations that we've seen over the course of this weekend. And I'm talking, of course, about the Blue Lagoon. Up there in the Peak District, a natural beauty spot. And I mean, can you believe it? The Derbyshire police actually put black dye into the water to try and discourage people from going to the Blue Lagoon and having a swim. We've seen the use of drones to try and identify who dog walkers are. We've seen drones on the beaches of Newquay, Fistral Bay, trying to find out who it is that's going for a walk across the beach. You know, what are these regulations for? Are they to keep us locked in our houses, or are they to keep us separated from other people? Planes coming in from the COVID-19 hotspots all over the world, and not a single test being done on anybody. Not a basic temperature test, let alone an actual test to see whether people have got that disease. Nobody is put into quarantine. They're all allowed to travel on public transport and go home, and told once they're there they should self-isolate for 14 days. I mean, we are more than likely importing this disease into the country every single day. And then this morning, I saw some photographs from North Acton tube station. Guess what? Mobbed. Absolutely mobbed. So we allow flights in without checking anybody, crowded airports, very busy London Underground and other commuter trains all across the rest of the country, and yet the police are putting dye in the Blue Lagoon in case a couple of people go for a swim. We've lost all sense of perspective with this, and of course there's always a danger that if you give the authorities too much power, they will abuse it. Worse still are the hotlines that have now been set up so you can grass up your neighbour. That's right, if your neighbour takes the dog out twice for a walk in one day, you can ring up the hotline so the old Bill Plod can be round at a moment's notice. I mean, I'm sure there are some chief constables out there that would like to go the whole hog. You know, why not sort of take us back to East Germany in the 1980s so that kids can report on the transgressions of their parents? I say that ever so slightly tongue-in-cheek, but I'm quite sure there are some in the police that would want us to do that. Oh, and while we're at it, very important, the Metropolitan Police put out a video to say that if anybody saw a rise in hate crime as a result of the COVID-19 crisis, even if they didn't think a crime had been committed, they should report it to the Metropolitan Police so that they can investigate. I mean, you really cannot make some of this stuff up. And yet, there was Michael Gove, one of the few cabinet ministers and senior politicians who's well enough to appear on the television. There he was yesterday, almost relishing that the next move could be that our daily jog from the house could be confined to 30 minutes, or the daily walk from the house could be confined to an hour. Maybe his own neighbours will have their stopwatches ready just to make sure that there is full compliance. Now look, but to put us effectively under house arrest and to see chief constables and senior cabinet ministers telling us they're going to crack down further, even when we are being responsible and we are socially distancing, well, I tell you what, I will not be put under house arrest by Michael Gove or anybody else. And I certainly won't do it until they stop flights coming in without people being tested and start putting a few more services on our trains and undergrounds to stop the overcrowding. Common sense is what is needed here, not house arrest for citizens. And I tell you, there's a great danger in this. People will only respect the rules. People will only respect the government if the government and the police forces are seen to respect the people. And I think we're not very far away from that beginning to break down. And please, somebody inside government, understand you can't bully the British out of their freedoms. It's why in 1954, unlike every other country in Europe, we gave up identity cards. Do you know why? Because actually, law-abiding Brits just simply weren't prepared to carry them. Didn't want to live in a country where you could be stopped in the street and asked to produce your papers. And I don't think we're any different now. The vast majority of us recognise the fact this is a national emergency. We are all prepared to do our bit. You can tell that by the 700,000 people that have volunteered to get involved and help. But when it comes to social distancing, yeah, we get it, apart from a few idiots, we get it. But please, please, don't give the police excessive powers. Don't put us under house arrest. Otherwise, we'll lose all respect for you and for rules that could, applied properly, be very sensible indeed.